In this video, I'm going to tell you how I solved the problem of the car pulling to the driver's side when I would brake. Hi, I'm Pat Ruth, and this is my channel, Talk About What You Love. I don't love working on my car. I love my car working. I love solutions. Join me in the future for solutions videos. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and put some helpful comments in the comment area. Enjoy the video. So about a month ago, I would be driving along, and if I just used the brake, nothing like that. But if I was using my hands, not my hands, but if I'm in traffic, I'm going like 30, and then I really have to mash on it, the steering wheel would pull really hard, like that much. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to show you how I solved the problem, and it wasn't a usual suspect, but I do believe it should be on the list of things to check. So the things I'm going to tell you are good for any car. They're pretty basic. The one that I have here is a Chevy Suburban with 250,000 miles on it. So, you know, when it spins around like that, you'd think, oh, it's the traction. So I checked out the tires, and as you can tell, they still have quite a bit of tread left on them. The next thing I did was I checked out the brakes themselves. The first thing I did was I jacked both the front sides up, and then so they're off the ground and they still have the tires on, and I spun the tires, and I had somebody in the car push on the brake, and both sides stopped immediately. So that's kind of me thinking there's nothing really wrong with the brakes, but I'm impetuous. So I went down and I bought new brake pads, and as you can see on the old ones, they still have quite a bit of meat on them. So I basically wasted some money on that, and I should have kept going. But in the meantime, I checked the rotor. There's quite a bit of wear, but it's nice and flat. It doesn't have cracks in it. I would not think that it's the rotor. I thought it might be the caliper, but to stay in the not blowing a lot of money, the first thing I did is I took the brake hose loose, and I checked the fluid coming out of here when you pushed on the brake, and it came out freely. Then I put the hose. I actually bought a new hose, which was totally unnecessary, and so a little bit more money went out the window, and I hooked it on there. So now I got some nice new things that were unnecessary, and I was like really scratching my head, and eventually it dawned on me, because when I was checking on these things, I started noticing some bolts were loose. And what I had done a couple years ago, because it's such an old car, is I had replaced a lot of the suspension. I replaced these brackets with the wheel bearing in them. I replaced the tie rods. I replaced all this stuff a couple years ago, and I thought I gave myself an A+ for the job I did. But as I was down here looking around, I noticed that there was a lot of the bolts were at least a little loose. They were not as tight as they should be. And so I started investigating bolts, and what I found was over here on the lower control arm, that brand new bolt right there, that bolt was completely missing, and the end of the arm was not flopping around freely, but as you can see, it's in a channel on the frame, and it would move back and forth. So when I hit the brake, that would move that way, and it would pull the tire around, and that was what caused it. And so I got a new bolt. So here's the setup. You've got a thick bushing with rubber on the inside. It's sandwiched into between two pieces of the frame. The bolt passes all the way through, and then it's held down, secured with a nut. This bolt, I was just going to get another bolt. This one, I found out the size, it's 16 millimeters. It is got a 2 millimeter pitch, and it is 140 millimeters long. So I guess the only important dimension is roughly the size and the diameter, and you can get a nut that fits that and the length on it. Although I think it's kind of important to get the right one for using on cars. The other thing is, when I got the just a regular bolt from the store, it did not have this torpedo shape in the front. It turns out to be very important. So you have to move the bracket in front of the hole and then start pushing the bolt into it, and then you actually have to tap it into place, and then you use the nut to start pulling it down on to what it needs to be, where it needs to be tightened. So the interesting thing about this bolt is I actually went to the dealer, and it cost almost $20 for the bolt and the nut, which it turns out I think it's worth it because it has this feature, the pointy feature, and also the nut is it's a locking nut. I also put a lock washer on it just in case, because I think when this got loose, it wobbled around and it kind of wore the hole out a little bit. Here's the opposite end of the bolt, and it just screws right in. I push it right through that bracket, and anyway, like I said, it wobbled the hole out. So I went down to Home Depot and I just got a steel washer, a broad washer, and I put it in there on the bolt, and it covers the hole up. And I put it together, and I don't seem to have any problems. So from now on, or what the next step is I mean, everything worked great. So the next thing is I'm going to go around and I'm going to check all the other bolts. Okay, so I think I learned my lesson. I got to tighten up some bolts and recheck my work. I wanted to do this video because it was kind of an out of the blue kind of a thing, kind of a, you know, why did this happen? Or it wasn't like the normal thing. I've been blessed with that kind of a thing happening. That nothing is really straightforward and I got to learn everything. Or I'm just too dopey and then I have to do something that's like really plain. Anyway, if you liked this video, well, if you didn't like it, leave a comment, and because I'd like to know how I can improve and what else you think it could have been. If you had some kind of an oddball thing happening, or, you know, check out my, I'm starting to put some videos on and I want to grow my YouTube channel. I got a lot of weird things happen in my life, and that's how I think I can help people out. So subscribe, hit the notify, and I'm going to try to put something out every week. They're all about fixing cars. Actually, I really don't like working on the car, but that's always an emergency with me. So subscribe, have a nice day, and come on back, and maybe we can learn some stuff together.